I have the G2 Dinobots. Yes, in the box before you, there is Snarl and Slug, aka Slag. But that's not all. These are from Age of the Primes. But also from Age of the Primes is the G2 Grimlock, which I hadn't done a review on before because he's so much like all the other Grimlocks. But I figured I'd throw him in, why not? And as you can see, I have another cat here joining me. This is Stormy. Stormy is actually my lodger's roommate's cat who shares the name with my roommate's boyfriend. So this Stormy I think is cuter, but you know, that's just my taste. But we're gonna go through these G2s and might even have a few guest appearances from some older toys for reasons. Right, Stormy? Yes, just block everything. That's fine. But before I go too much further, I do want to thank our sponsor for this video, Toy Hacks. Toy Hacks has amazing replacement decals for your G1s, your G2s, and enhancement decals for all the lines above, Combiner Wars, and Titans Returns, and Power of the Primes, and Siege, and Age of the Primes, and Legacy Studio Series. And you can enhance your stuff just like over here, as you can see with this Age of the Primes Onyx Prime, who is the lord of all the beast transformers. So it kind of makes sense. They also have an armory, backdrops. Check them out at toyhacks.com. But you are here to talk about these Transformers. And if you're new to the channel, I'm Captain Kyle. Welcome aboard. If you've been watching for a while, thanks for coming back. So nice of you, so nice. So let's get into some G2 Dinobots. Be right back. So I'm going to start with the two that I have not reviewed before on this channel. I'm not saying I don't have the same molds. I just haven't done a review on them. I might have done a review on Slag/Slug, but I don't think I did one on Snarl. But then we're going to get into the Grimlock. So let's check out the G2 colorations. And by the way, during G2, these were the only Dinobots that came out during that line. Swoop and Sludge were not included. We are getting G2 versions of those characters next year sometime, and I'm looking forward to reviewing them, but they're not based on actual released G2s. There may have been some plans, but those plans got pushed to the side. And then G2 got pushed to the side to make way for Beast Wars when they basically were put out by Kenner. But let's see what modes they're in. They are in their robot modes, and the box is empty, shitty piece of paper, and instructions. And here they are with a cat in the way. Stormy, come over here so they can see the full view of these Dinobots in their plastic and cardboard prisons. Stormy has decided to leave, but maybe back. You never know. He's a cat. So using my snippers, we're going to free them, hopefully, and probably make a mess on the table. There's also some Autobot paper, which, you know, makes sense because Dinobots are a subgroup of the Autobots, so they don't always act like it. First out of the package is, I'm going to call him Slag because Slug just doesn't work for me. We also have Snarl, though his legs are not properly oriented just for ease of fitting in the box. So we're going to fix that. Snarl also has this piece here, which I am going to attach. And let's zoom in a little bit more on these guys so you can see them a little bit better. And it did make a mess all over my table. I mean, I could have left some of them sticking into the box, but then they would be probably making a mess on the floor, and I'd rather do it this way so I can just dispose of them properly. And we're going to open up the Autobot paper, and we're going to find a sword and a gun, and that's it. I guess I'm going to have to look at the instructions to see who gets what. So apparently Slag gets the gun, and will also adjust his wings at the same time, so they are properly set up. Now Snarl obviously gets this piece, which connects behind his head, but when you install it, don't do what I just did. You want it to be, the spikes to be face down, so then you can take this piece and move it up like so, and it looks good in the back. And he gets the sword. Now, I think with all the regular Studio Series Dinobots, they all had guns and swords eventually, because a bunch of swords came later on and were distributed appropriately. But in this case, one gun, one sword. And the difference with him, there is no storage for this in robot mode in case he doesn't want to carry it, but Snarl can have it on his back. Very difficult to reach. Short range teleport from the back to the hand. I don't know. Now in the cartoon, 3 Dinobots were initially built, which was Grimlock, Slag, and Sludge. Snarl was in the second batch, which was 2 Dinobots, Snarl and Swoop. And again, we'll get G2s next year, and I will review them. Be one of those Dinobots we didn't get videos. But let's start off with Slag. You really want to call him Slug, you can call him Slug. But we'll put him on the turntable of doom, give him a spin, and he looks good from all angles. Now, he is green, and that is homage to one of the colorations in which he was put out during Generation 2. Why do I say one? Because he was also put out in the same color as Snarl. He was put out in red. And he was put out in original gray/silver, whatever color the original Dinobots were in. So I discovered that when I was looking at a bunch of Transformers I had gotten. I don't remember where I got them. I owned a store for a little while, so it could have been a collection that I bought. It could have been a bunch of stuff that I got on eBay, and I'm looking at a gray Grimlock, and I'm like, why is there a G2 symbol on this gray, normally what I would consider a G1 Grimlock? And then I did a little research and found out that they put them out in gray, then each of them had two other colors. So in the case of Slag, he was gray, then he was green, and he was also red. Or maroon, if you consider it. You know, it's like a dark red. But they went with green. I think that was the most common color. I could be wrong, but it took me a while once I found out that there were gray ones to get all the gray ones and all the other colorations. But I did. I had 9 G2 Dinobots, 3 of each mold and 3 different colors. Damn the purge. Damn it. Taking a look at Slag here. Now, the Autobot symbol on his head is not G2. It is a regular G1 Autobot symbol. Same thing with the one on his chest. And honestly, I don't remember if they had, other than the little, typograph stamp on them, if they had G2 symbols all over, or if they used the same stickers and therefore had Autobot symbols from G1, except for the little stamp that said, hey, I'm a G2. It would be cool if, as a nod to that, if they had little G2 stamps, but I am not seeing any such stamp. I could be wrong. If I come across one during this review, I'll let you know, but I'm not seeing it, and I somehow doubt that they did it. It would have been a really cool nod, though, in my humble opinion. Now, it has been a while since I have messed around with my Studio Series Slag, so I'm not sure if the tail is positioned properly, but we're gonna say it is. The instructions don't tell me anything different. But a fine looking figure. Now, for those who are not owners of any of the versions of these molds, he is a little over 9 inches in height, like 9 1/4. And that's going from his horns, or that horn, all 3 horns, I guess you would say. Red chest, red eyes, black head, black fists, but overall, a good representation of the G2, except without G2 symbols. All right, I'm gonna take the gun out of his hand, which it's a nice silver gun. I don't recall offhand if the one for the Studio Series was this color or if they made it black. Black was the color of most of the guns for the G1 original Dinobots, except of course for Swoops, because he just used his missile launchers, which were gray. All right, let's get into a little bit of posability here. And of course, the first thing I want to find out, can he do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme toes up? And he can. In fact, the tail part kind of moves out of the way, so when you place him crouch down, he can be crouched down. So, and it's very stable in this. I do not, contrary to what some people might think, pose all my figures that can do it in this position on the shelf. So it would take up way too much room, so sorry. So Jean-Claude Van Damme, now he does have very generous ankle swivels. In fact, he could do a split with them. They're so generous. He can kick forward at a pretty good height. Kicking back, still a good height, kind of pushes up his tail. And again, I'm not sure. I don't like the fact that it's just kind of there and kind of hanging. And the instructions don't show me any other way to attach it. And I've already started the video, so I'm not going to watch someone else's video to see if they found a way. So, sidekick, obviously. In fact, he can do a split sidekick, kick really high. Bends at the knee, which is more than 90 degrees, which is very nice. The legs swivel all the way around. Twisting at the waist. Can he do it? Yes, he can. He's just like Bob the Builder. So, turning him to the side like that looks very awkward, but putting him at an angle, not looking as awkward, and can go for some great posability. Now the wings, by the way, plug into little slots in the back of his armor shield or whatever, and they can come out if you're a little too rough, which I can be, but you know, some like it rough. So twisting at the waist, very good. Arms, can they go all the way around? Kind of. Now he's got these two pieces that could go up into shoulders like that, or it can be back like that, which is how he's pictured. And those can kind of get a little bit in the way, so you kind of have to angle out slightly, just slightly, the arm to get it to go all the way around. Can also go off to the side, bend at the elbow, a little bit more than 90 degrees. It's got a nice swivel there all the way around. The fists themselves also twist, so he can hold his gun at slight angles. I wouldn't do the whole really bad way of holding guns, because now his head is like inside here, but you can still turn it all the way around. It's not that difficult. Now, no kind of ab crunch. The head can kind of move back and forth a little bit, so it's kind of like nodding. Me slag say you full of beryllium baloney. Or is it cesium salami? Cesium salami. I've never had cesium salami. It sounds like it would kill me, but it's all good. Not killing me. It's good that I haven't had it. So great posability. Can put him in some great poses. You can probably come up with much more imaginative poses than this one, but he's nice. I like him. All right, time for beast mode or dino mode. So there is Slag in his dino mode. And the transformation, if you haven't transformed one of these before, pretty clever, befitting of a Studio Series, even though this is technically not a Studio Series toy. His mouth does open, and he's even got a cover in there that covers his face. So he's not revealing that he's a robot in disguise because, you know, it's so normal to see a metal green Triceratops just walking down the street. You know, that's kind of a robot in disguise thing. His front legs move back and forth. He does have the same joints of the elbow. If you bend it like that, though, you can actually reveal the hidden fist. So maybe just move them out a little bit. The back legs can move all the way around. You've got some bending there, again, for reasons. He's not really designed to pose in that many different ways. You can probably get some slightly dynamic poses out of him, but he's supposed to just stand there. Weapon storage is in the tail, which is kind of neat. And that's why these kind of match that on his gun. And looking at that, probably the original gun with silver. I think he also came with, what, Daniel or something? So he looks very good. I'm liking this form. And again, not seeing any G2 symbols on him, but it's all good. Me slag over here. Let's check out Snarl. So Snarl also came in silver, red, and green. And again, not seeing any G2 symbols. He's got a G1 Autobot symbol there on his chest, probably also on the nose of him in Dino mode. But again, he's the dark red coloration. That was one of the three colors they came out. Now, they've already put out for Grimlock a color that never, ever came out during G2, the yellow. Apparently that was a planned coloration. They were just making as much use of that mold as they can. We'll talk more about Grimlock when we get to Grimlock. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, they didn't have any other colors planned for these guys, but you never know. Posability-wise, full Jean-Claude Van Damme, very nice. Extremely generous ankle swivels, so much he could do a split and still have his feet flat. Again, unlikely that you're going to do that. Now, what's interesting with these ankle swivels is they are actually two pieces. So I don't know if that's going to be advantageous for posing, but it's probably advantageous for transforming. Kicking forward, good height. Kicking back, no interference, good height. Side kick, of course. Full split side kick. Bends at the knee, about 90 degrees. Oh, before I forget, he's about 8 3/4 inches if you count from his tail wings. If you go from the head, he's a little shy of 8.5. But okay, so yeah, sidekick. And Honor is here. So she's a big fan of dinos for whatever reason. Twists at the waist. Also the legs swivel all the way around. I'm gonna take his sword out of his hand so Honor can terrorize me by trying to steal it. And then she can stand right in front of the camera and rub up against Grimlock's box. Yeah, so that's very nice. Arms, were it not for the wings, could go all the way around. Bends really like this box. And rub up against Grimlock over here. Bends at the elbow, a little more than 90 degrees. Arm goes out to the side. Swivels at the elbow, actually. The fists also twist. So some nice posability there. And the head, of course, turns all the way around. You can kind of rock it slightly from side to side, move it back and forth a bit. So good posability. And again, a great homage to the original G2. Well, one of the three. So time for Dino mode. So there is Snarl in his Dino mode with the spikes and spines and wonderful things. Storage before the Zord goes on the bottom. Doesn't use the post, it actually uses a slot on the other side. And he looks cool. Head doesn't really move at all. Front legs can spin all the way around. You can actually, bend them a little bit at the elbows. I guess they're called elbows, the joints. Back legs can also go all the way around. There are no spines to get in the way. And the feet turn if you wanted to turn them slightly. And you can bend them back a little bit, maybe for some kind of pose, but I don't know why you would do that. Again, beast modes are generally not considered something that you want as posable as the robot mode, even though for dinosaurs you would think that that would be the case. But as I suspected, and his head doesn't like to stay together, he does have a regular G1 Autobot symbol on the front. His mouth, which is split, just like the rest of his head, does open up. And yeah, he's a very cool representation of one of the colors of G2 Slag. Now, if you want, I guess you could put the sword there, but I like it underneath, unless he's going to back into somebody and slice them, or additional deterrent for anyone who wants to try to climb on his back. So Snarl. And now we're going to break out G2 Blue Grimlock. And again, this mold I've reviewed before. It's the same mold as the regular Grimlock, the Shattered Grass Grimlock. Shattered Grass Grimlock. Me smoking shattered grass. Shattered Glass Grimlock. We have the comic edition. We have the yellow edition. This mold has been used a lot. And this one comes with a wheelie. Friend, fine, look behind. I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly. And we're definitely going to talk about the deco. And of course, included is taking a dump in the wild wheelie, who in all actuality is set up to sit on Grimlock's back. I just hope he wiped. But yes, his legs do not straighten out. It's kind of disappointing that they couldn't just straighten out the legs, put little joints in there, so we'd actually have at least an Action Master version of Wheelie, even if he doesn't transform. So there you have him, G2 Blue Grimlock. Open up his claws. And one thing I've noticed right away, because this is the first time I took it out of the box, sometimes I'll get something, I'll be like, yeah, I'll get to it when I do a review. Well, now I'm doing a review. But he actually does have a G2 Autobot typograph on the side here with a G2 Autobot symbol. But inside his chest, through the plastic, you can see a G1 Autobot symbol. But still a nice nod to the original. Get this mess off the table. Another shitty piece of paper. And so let's take a look at some deco. Now he only comes with his gun, not the sword. Again, disappointing. But he's got very nice gold claws, talons, whatever, gold chest. Again, with the regular Autobot symbol peeking out. Looking at the back, he actually has two G2 Autobot symbols. So they went overboard. Could they have done something here? Toy hacks, fix that. And of course, he's got the stripes on his legs. Looks, again, very similar to other versions of Grimlock that we've had, because it's the same friggin' mold. And Wheelie in slightly different colors because they wanted to make him G2. These colors actually remind me of the, I think it's Combined War Scientist. One of those, there was a Legends Wheelie, and the Japanese colors had a bit more light orange in it. That kind of reminds me of that. But let's take a look at him, who stands about 8 3/4 inches. And just to kind of show you, he's pretty much the same blue as the original G2. So, as I mentioned, there was a purge. So I no longer have all three Grimlocks, but I can show you the blue one. And again, the homage is so obvious, though he only has his G2 Autobot symbol here. Hard to see, not sure if it's going to come into focus, but there it is. Maybe I'll put up a picture. And I do also have the teal one, because he did not come in red and green like the others. He was blue, teal, and gray. I have 2 out of 3. As Meatloaf says, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I still want the gray one. So let's go super fast through the posability. I mean, the deco is obviously very nice. Full Jean-Claude Van Damme, toes up, kicking forward, kicking back, extremely generous ankle swivels, side kicks, double side kick, well, full split side kick, bends at the knee, maybe slightly less than 90 degrees, swivels, twists at the waist. Now, do the arms go all the way around? Because if you can move it out a little bit, they can. I'm gonna put that aside for now. But that's only if you put the wings back. And the wings can go back. They can also go up. I don't know why you'd want to put them that far up, but they can. Arm can go out to the side, bends at the elbow more than 90 degrees, has a nice swivel. The chest keeps coming loose, which could be a sign of overuse of this mold. The fists do twist all the way around. Head, of course, turns. He can kind of slightly move his head from side to side, back and forth. You can wiggle it just a little bit. So good posability, in addition to carrying the gun in his hand, which he wants to do. You can also clip it onto one of his Tyrannosaurus arms and store it in the back that way. I'd rather he walk around with it. I don't see another method of storage stuff. So again, this is like the definitive Grimlock. Yes, I have the masterpiece. This one I like better. Easier to transform. You don't feel like, you're going to break something all the time. I mean, the masterpiece is really nice, but this mold, the Studio Series, just overall seems to combine the playability factor with the complexity and accuracy. Well, we never saw this color in the G2 cartoon. But before I transform him into his dino mode, yes, I know on the G2s I don't have all of the weapons, but just gonna turn them all together on the Turntable of Doom. Yay! Okay. Time for me, Grimlock, to get into dino mode. Oh, but one other thing, you can put Wheelie on his shoulder. Probably never showed that before because I think it looks stupid. But it is somewhat movie, again, not these colors, but somewhat movie accurate. Somewhat. So there is G2 Grimlock with his weapon stored on his back and Wheelie riding him like a toddler on his dad's back. What, did you think I was going to say something sick? I leave that to Logan. And he just shook him off, which is awesome because, yeah, I think it's totally awkward and I don't really put Wheelie on Grimlock. But he looks good in dino mode. His head actually can turn all the way around, which is kind of cool. His jaw opens and closes. He's got his little legs he can't quite reach if he's got to scratch his balls. That is why Slag is here. The legs can go all the way around, though it kicks off his weapon, which I don't really like. That gun storage, I think the gun storage or the weapon storage for the others is much more clever and hidden. But overall, great looking Dinobot. You can even have him reach out with his claws and the claw. So yeah, I like him, and I like the fact that now I have representation of the 3 Dinobots they put out during the D2 era. Again, that's all they put out. They didn't put out Swoop and Sludge, which is a shame because I would have loved to have gotten those. Probably would have been years later because I wasn't really collecting when G2 came out. In fact, I've told this story before, but my experience with G2, after I had collected a lot of the G1s and even some Micromasters and stuff like that, I went into a store I hadn't been collecting in a while. I had kind of switched to comic books. And then I went into the store and the only G2 I remember seeing was a G2 Combaticon of Swindle. And I'm like, why do I want a toy that I already have in much worse colors? So that's what I thought G2 was. I did not realize that I would love the repaints, or that they would come out with a bunch of other molds that were not previously used. And so it wasn't until years later that I got them all. And now I have to re-get them all. Maybe, we'll see. It takes some time, but there you have them, the 3 G2 Dinobots in all their dino glory. And I'm gonna put a link, of course, to the 2-pack of these and this one in the description, just in case you wanna grab them. And again, I do wanna thank our sponsors of this video, Toy Hacks. Again, they have amazing stickers for everything from your G1s and G2s all the way up to the latest ones, including the Studio Series ones of these. They might be coming out with some new colors of the stickers to go on these because I think the stickers that they came out with go well with the silver, but they might go well on these. And then again, they might always come up with some different colors. You never know. But check them out for their decals and for their backdrops and for their armory at toyhacks.com. And while you are mulling over these 3 homages to the original G2 Dinobots, actually check out this video over here, which is a third-party recolor set of Dinobots, kind of done in Triptychon colors. Very cool video. And this is another cat. At the last minute he comes in. This is Paul. Don't show your butt to the audience. He's probably wondering what I'm doing in here, but this is my lodger's other cat. So he and Stormy came as a package deal. So Similar to Honor, but no socks. But we will see you next time, and maybe you'll see Paul again, or Stormy, and got a tail on your face. But as always, have fun and good hunting.